Hello. Let me check if I'm really online, because I'm also in the other presentation. Oh, it looks pretty good. I see. Thanks for attending. I'm not feeling so well today, so please bear with me if I'm not as clear as I used to be. But I try my best and guide you through the presentation and how banner campaigns can be requested to reach marginalized groups or contents. Yeah, so quick introduction. I won't go much into that. I'm a volunteer editor since 2005, but also staff member of Wikimedia Deutschland, for which I'm here now. But what matters for this presentation is that I have access to banner campaigns on Wikipedia since their inception. And yeah, so following the theme of Wikimania, I want to first dig a bit deeper into the past of banner campaigns before we go to the present functions and look into the future. Before I will tell you which kind of banners I think of or want to present, I wanted to give you some other banners you might have seen on Wikimedia projects, which I'm not talking about. For example, the MediaWiki site notice, which is shown on one particular wiki, and for all people who are present on these pages, who have either logged in or anonymous and not logged in. The other one is the so-called watchlist summary, which can be seen when you open up your watchlist, when you're logged in to Wikipedia. I will talk about the banner campaigns, which you may have noticed, either logged in or not logged in, which show up above the actual pages of Wikimedia projects. This could either be a banner for some governance issues like the upcoming Wikimedia Foundation Board of Trustees election, or something more community-related, community projects and contests on photography, article writing, and such. Here given an example of He Loves Monuments. So we'll talk about these banner campaigns, and I hope that most of you have already seen one of all the other banners which look like that above the article content. These banners are accessible on MetaWiki, which is the coordination place for all the Wikimedia projects. So when you enter into the search bar m-special central auth, you'll go to the technical backgrounds of these banner campaigns. These banners can be requested by anyone. By you, by all registered community members, such banner campaigns can be asked for. So just as the organizers of Wiki Loves Monuments, for example, the photo contest did, they requested such banners to raise awareness for their projects. As you can imagine, there shouldn't be similar banner campaigns for at the same time, so that this should be coordinated, and we have a calendar and have also some procedures how to deal with such requests. However, although anyone can request such banner campaigns, only very few people have the right to enable these campaigns. Namely, central notice administrators. The technical term for these banners are central notices. Stewards, which are a global community group, and the staff of the Wikimedia Foundation. Originally, these banner campaigns were developed for fundraising. This happened at the year 2012, something about that, and later adjusted for other initiatives like Wiki Loves Monuments. And as this turned out to be quite successful in reaching out to people, and it was quickly also taken over by community members for their very own campaigns. However, although it got more and more attractive for community members to ask for such banner campaigns, the coordination between the very few people who actually can enable it is still pretty low. We have it for almost a decade, but it's still not as much developed as we would like to have it, and the coordination between those people is also pretty low. So how can you request it? And this is one of the main points of my presentation, to show you where you can do this. And there is a page on MetaWiki, the global coordination wiki, which is called Central Notice/request. And when you go to that page, you will see an input box where you just enter the campaign name and then create a page where this campaign can be requested. At that moment, you have to do a bit of source code editing and give some information to the central notice administrators and others who can enable such campaigns with the settings you want to have for the campaign. So when will it run? Will it only reach out to logged in users, or also to anonymous users? Will it only be in English or in any other language? Will it be distributed to Wikipedia, Commons, Wikidata, or any other sister project? There are some more settings which could be used, and I will dig a bit deeper into these later in the presentation. But in general, at first sight, if you're familiar with templates, it should be handleable to start creating such page. And when you save the page, the template will convert this into a page or a display which looks like that. And this will help the central notice administrators to start communicating with you, because usually there's still some things to be discussed before such campaigns can be started. For example, how the banners will look like, if the landing page is available in all the languages you're requesting, and such. So please be bold, don't hesitate. If there's something which cannot be done or needs more improvement, we are very happy to discuss this with you. What we will do now, I will only show you in a short few steps. We will go to the central notice administration tool, which is also accessible for you. but you cannot change much there. We will then use the campaign page to enable all the settings you were requesting. That's a quite long page, and we will assign the banners which will be shown. And this is the banner page, is a separate one where we just enable the settings for logged in or anonymous users. So this is how banners have always been, banner campaigns have been handled since their inception. So what can you now, in the present, actually do with banner campaigns? So you can choose a Wikimedia project or multiple Wikimedia projects where this will be displayed. You can request the language of user settings. You can't specify one project. You always specify the language of the user settings, which is a bit confusing, but it shouldn't matter much in the outcome. You can also geolocate where the banners will be shown. Will it be only in a country, in a couple of countries, or even, that is pretty new, in regions of a country, federal states and such. So you can very much specify where the banners will be shown. It can be 100% distribution, or it can only be a partial display. And as I already said, logged in or anonymous users or both can also be asked for. And the same applies to desktop display or mobile version. You can even create or let create banners for these different versions. And there's some additional stuff which is probably not so important for community members, like tracking of users and various other statistics which could be enabled. Also, since recently, banner campaigns can get a tag for the kind of content they will deliver, so that users like you can go to their preferences or the settings on the user account and say, hey, I'm usually just interested in photography, but not governance. And then I will only switch on banners, or let me display banners only for photography and not the other ones. So if you haven't checked out that in your preferences and you don't want to get banners of all kind, you can turn them on or off as you need. So central notice administrators will evaluate the campaign type and will give one type for each banner campaign. This was more the beginner thing for banner campaigns. I think most of you should be able to say one of the other, do I want to have that in a project and such. Now I get a bit more deeper into technical aspects. And although I know that many of you probably are not experts on JavaScript or CSS, Cascade Style Sheets, you probably know one in your community, user group, anybody else who could help you with that. For low-level adjustments, you can also ask central notice administrators like me. Please change that from black to blue or something like that. This is absolutely manageable for us. But often, and I do find that a bit sad, only one clickable graphic is requested by people when they request banner campaigns. Although much more could be done if you know a bit more of JavaScript or CSS, because you can use also at the current moment magic words and MediaWiki configuration values. For example, edit count, registration date, page title, user groups, gender, and many more. I will soon give you some examples which like more visualize what I mean by using some of these settings. Just to make you aware how this will in the end look like, for us as central notice administrators, we will change this code, which is CSS and JavaScript, as I said, upon your needs. There is a standard template which you can use and adjust, but you can also deliver your own JavaScript and CSS to let the banner look as you want it to be. But as I said, this is not necessary. It's absolutely fine if you only say this project, this geolocation, and such. But if you want to make it more fancy, you can, of course, also dig a bit into the expert settings. As I said, magic words can be used, and also MediaWiki configuration values. So what could be done in banners, for example, just at the moment, in the present, as we have it. For example, a banner could be created for all accounts with gender female set, which have been created less than 3 years ago, but just made between 10 and 50 edits per month in the last year. You could reach out to them and invite them to something. For example, you could, on the other hand, you could also invite not only new editors, but also active editors, for example, who read Wikipedia articles on chemistry to join the Wiki project chemistry. So instead of browsing through all the articles looking for active community members who might be interested in joining this, you could maybe once per year do a banner campaign to invite people who read chemical content to the Wiki project chemistry. You could also use a banner to notify all functionaries, and functionaries are a user group, or a couple of user groups, and to join the Universal Code of Conduct functionary meetings. So instead of sending mass messages, some other options to reach out to people, you could use a banner which specified to particular user groups. And theoretically, banners could also be so much specified that they would only be displayed for individual users or pages. So this is possible at the moment. It's very rarely used because most people are not aware of that. But this is at the moment possible. All right. Next step in my presentation, before we'll open it up for some thoughts of you, will be future. And this is the second main goal here from my side, because I work for Wikimedia Deutschland, or Wikimedia Germany, and we are interested in such banner campaigns to raise awareness for new editors in particular, but also in other regards. And I will present you now one of my current projects, which I'm responsible for at Wikimedia Deutschland, which is caused by some research we did at Wikimedia Deutschland to identify topics and matching methods for promoting our volunteer support program. I'm a project manager in the volunteer support program, and there are dozens of people who already ask for volunteer support. But there are many more active editors which haven't reached. And so we decided to try out a couple of methods to promote the volunteer support program in these groups. And one topic we chose was LGBT content on German Wikipedia. And this content is, of course, findable in the category system on German Wikipedia in the category LGBT and subcategories. So our goal for this project was to display banners in articles in the category LGBT and subcategories for active community members. And this combines some of the settings of the past, as you know, active community members, edit count, but also something new, because if you listen closely to the presentation, I haven't mentioned category-specific banner distribution so far. And this is really new, and this is something for the future, which is why it's now presented in the future part of my presentation. So we had to develop this script so that it's actually possible to reach out to people who look at content in a category and its subcategories. A prototype script was developed, and it works appropriately. You can look into the test code and the presentation slides, which are linked on the session page and are also available on Commons. So we weren't sure if it would be possible to show banners in categories. We evaluated a couple of ways how it could be done and decided to go for a quick and dirty version, but it works. And it was important for us that this is combinable with other parameters like activity, magic words, MediaWiki configuration, as you learned it from the present section of my presentation. I can totally imagine that you might got a bit confused by all the parameters and possibilities, options, and steps, which could lead you to a successful banner campaign. And one of my main goals is to have that written down, to have some kind of step-by-step manual, which enables you to create your own subcategory tree, transfer it into the banner code, and get it requested at the central notice request page. At first, it will be created in German, as the whole project will be done in German. But my plan is to have that also translated into English and then shared on the central notice pages, the help pages, and such. And I think it would be the first step-by-step manual at all for central notice, because either you know how it works or you know somebody who knows how it works, but it's not really so self-evident to request banner campaigns. We shouldn't hesitate you to ask for one, and I'm here to also show my face and my name You can also ask my volunteer, me, the Hexer, if you ever need help for such banner campaigns. And with the category focused banner campaigns, many more options would be are possible. And for example, we do this for the LGBT marginalized content now in the test phase, but the system could be adjusted for many other initiatives. For example, you could notify readers of articles on marginalized topics in a region to a nearby editathon on the same topic. You could also point new editors who browse through articles on marginalized topics to a matching wiki project or user group. Or for example, you could invite active users with female gender settings to wiki women user group. It's really up to you in imagination what could be done with the settings there are and the topics you are interested in, to use the banner campaigns for a very focused approach to reaching out to people and connecting with each other. And that would be now the time for you. What are your ideas for campaigns? Do you have questions about banner campaigns, which I will try to answer? What do you need? What do you think about that? Looking forward to your questions and comments. That's the last slide. That's just the end slide. So I will keep it here. All right, yeah. So now oh my God, questions. First question I read is, how can other volunteers and non-volunteers or even volunteers help you to help others? What kind of skills do you need most? I understand that this mainly relates to the skills central notice administrators should have. I can tell you that currently only a handful of people actually set up campaigns. And this is way too few people. Combined with the low coordination work, which used to be done by the Wikimedia Foundation, we just do very, very small steps. And out of the handful of people who actually do it, even less people are even familiar with JavaScript or CSS. So I can do it a little, and I can do the small adjustments, which I told you. Change the color, move a logo from one place to the other, maybe do some other stuff and such. But it's newbies, and not all of us can even do that. So when you're interested in helping out with JavaScript and CSS, fulfilling requests from community members, go ahead, apply for Central Notice Administratorship on MetaWiki and help us set up campaigns like these. Because, and I know when I promote the functionality of banner campaigns here in this talk, there will be more of them. I can tell you that in the last 4 days, I set up 3 banner campaigns, and this also takes time. And for each of them, discussion were necessary because languages were missing on the landing page and such. So, but it's you know what you do here, you can see what you do, because in the end they're really banners, and people get attracted and go to these pages and participate. So I think it's really good, good kind of volunteering which you could do. I hope this somehow answered that question. If not, just give me a poke. Oh, thanks for documentation. So the next question is there a way for non-Central Notice admins to properly test out banner designs, especially more complex ones, before requesting, like a separate test wiki or something? Thank you for the question. This also bothers me at the moment, because for this category focus banner campaigns, I had to test out or try out and had to test some of the functions. And I have to confess, no, there is none, at least as far as I know. So this should be considered for future improvements in Central Notice, to have a better test platform. Of course, you can. So how the JavaScript and CSS is converted into the displayed banner is shown on the banner setup page. So you will see how it will look like. And you can test that even without an enabled campaign. So you can test your JavaScript and CSS outcomes in the banner setup page. But that's only one part of the game. This is the display of the banner. What I was talking about was the specification of settings, for example, active users and such. And this cannot really be tested there, because it only shows the display, how it will look for everyone, and not for a limited group of people. I don't have a good solution to that, how this could look like. Maybe it could even be tested on BetterWiki. I'm not an expert in that, and I was super happy when I found out that my category-focused banners actually worked. But I had to test it in live production, which I really didn't like, to be honest. And I made a mistake, and it was shown to quite the opposite of people I wanted to show it to. But I tested it on a very limited, not 100% display, but 1%. So it wasn't bothering too many people, but it shouldn't be the solution. I agree. All right. Another question I got from Owen Blacker. Did I understand correctly that you said we can show banners to users who've edited, viewed with certain wiki projects or categories? Is that something we can do across several wikis, for example, showing a banner to users in the LGBT user group, or wiki project on EN-Wiki, DE-Wiki, FR-Wiki, and ES-Wiki? Thanks for the question. Let me think a moment about it. So, yes, it should be possible. I'm not sure if it will be possible to do this in one single campaign. It might be possible when the category has the same name in these projects, but there could also be made a switch in the JavaScript. When you are in this wiki, use that category. When you are in the other wiki, use that category. Should be possible. But even if it's not possible to do that in one JavaScript code, nobody hinders you to have 2, 3, 4 X categories, campaigns created. So yeah, sure. There's also edited viewed there. I also wanted to test the category specific banners in my project when people edit content, saying something like that. Hey, you added an article on LGBT content. Do you need volunteer support? Sadly, I had to realize that central notice banners are never distributed when you edit an article. For that purpose, there's the edit notice, which is only applicable on one article. So sadly, this is not possible. But when they view a specific category, I'm not sure about the wiki project. Yes, this can be done. I see there's a lot of things happening in the Etherpad. Saturn was also commenting on something. Yeah. And there's also one question, another question by Owen Blacker. How are central notices different for mobile browser users or for users in the smartphone apps? Do we even get central notices in the smartphone apps? Yes. The central notices will also be distributed to mobile apps. And you can specify even for, I think, all the iPhone functions, then the Android functions, and then the mobile web page. And for all the remaining tools, you can also create an individual banner. You can go with a one for all and have your own look or your own view, how it would look like. But you can also adjust it to the actual phones or tablets you're using. Yeah, you're right. I mixed up words. Not on the Wikipedia app. There it's not possible to deliver banners. On the mobile website and on, yeah. So if I mix it up between web app and the Wikipedia app. No, not in the Wikipedia app, but in the mobile web page. In different tools like iPhone, Android, and such. So I'll browse through the chat on Remo. Just give me a second. Yeah, CL mentioned in the chat that there will be a central notice meet later today. And if you're interested in helping out as future central notice administrator, for example, or learn more bit about the functionality, join this group. All right, thanks, Sadin. central address on the beta cluster so that we could use this there, or even use a far wiki, which is closed. Nice. I got one more question in the Etherpad, but I'm not really sure if I understood that correctly. Can this be displayed? Is this, was there a link to some page, for example? The question was, can this be displayed so that people do not get targeted banners temporarily or permanently? I'm not really sure what is meant here, but if you give more details in your question, I can also add a comment in the Etherpad. Disabled. Yeah, now got it. Yes, thanks. Please look at slide now. One of the slides there, where the kind or the types of banner campaigns mentioned, like article writing, photography, governance, advocacy, and such, and you can disable these kinds of banner campaigns, banners, completely. There are two categories which you can't turn off, which are for maintenance and special campaigns. But yes, the other ones you can disable. Yeah. All right. So I'm glad that some people from Wikimedia Foundation joined the call and helped out answering some of the questions. We're reaching the end of the session, and I cannot see more questions here. I just will now display you again the last slide of my presentation, where you will find my email address, my staff address, which is martin.rausch@wikimedia.de. If you have any further questions, use that way, on my talk page, on my volunteer page, and such. Thanks for joining the presentation, and I hope that I could inspire you to do some banner campaigns for your favorite content. Bye-bye.